It's time for breaking bread with Papa. Hey, don't you know? Hey, it's sourdough. Hey, it's time for breaking bread with Papa. Hey, don't you know? Hey, it's also a show.
Hey, everybody, welcome to another edition of Breaking Bread with Tom Papa. I'm Tom Papa. Thank you so much for joining me for another wonderful episode. We've got three great guests, two categories. One is the great Ronny Chieng. He is, we got a quick bite with Ronny because today is Chinese New Year, the Lunar New Year. And I wanted to see how he celebrated and what are the great treats that he had. So we got a good call with Ronny. And I spoke to two Jersey guys who are the founders of Misunderstood Whiskey. They are so great. I love, as you know, I love anybody that is really passionate about anything, especially when it's food or comedy related. And two great guys. It feels like the friends that I grew up with, and they just researched and got into making this ginger whiskey, and they've formed this company. It's Misunderstood Whiskey, and they're killing it. It's JD Ricabs. I'm sorry, JD. We never talked about your last name. And Chris Puglisi. And two really great guys. And I can't wait to actually get back to Jersey and have some with them. This is a great episode. It's really, I know the rest of the world is super cold right now. I've been touring and I go out and I taste it and then I come back. But it's the thing that I'm feeling right now is that we are getting out of the troubles. There's hope coming ahead. And to talk to Ronny with the Lunar New Year, he's such a great, funny, super funny guy. And for him to be able to come in and just kind of impart his knowledge on us is great. And then to have the Whiskey Brothers come on and I just feel like we're coming out of the troubles. Let's celebrate a little bit. Let's open up our minds. Let's open up our hearts and enjoy the hell out of it. And this is really going to be a good one. I hope you enjoy it. No sponsors this week. The only sponsor is tompapa.com. I'm touring all over the place. I was just telling my buddy, I'm going to Fargo, North Dakota soon. I'm going to Irvine this weekend. I've got 4 shows in Irvine, California. I've got the Come to Papa Live in New York, doing the Valentine's special with my good friends Morgan James and Jim Gaffigan and Dave Hill and Mike Yard and Rachel Feinstein. That's next Tuesday, February 8th at the Comedy Cellar, and touring all over the place. So tompapa.com for all that love. All right, let's get right to it. We're going to start off with the Whiskey Brothers, Misunderstood Whiskey, and then we'll grab a quick bite with the great Ronny Chieng. All right, well, thank you for being here. This is very exciting. I love any time that I can talk to people who are food and drink obsessed, who also come from New Jersey.
I feel like that last part's, I don't know about that last part.
It's totally sincere. I am from New Jersey. It's no joke. That is one of my that is one of my loves.
I love it.
We're very happy to be here, man. We're very happy about the New Jersey comment. So that's great.
Are you both still in New Jersey? I know you started in your whole thing in Jersey.
Yeah, so I actually in Asbury Park with my fiance. Yeah, and Chris, although currently enjoying the sunshine out in Florida, has moved to Austin, Texas.
No way.
Yeah,
all the cool kids are going to Austin. I was just there.
Yeah, it's a very fun town.
Yeah,
it's a little bit, but it's a fun town for sure.
Yeah, I just performed at the Paramount last weekend.
That's a great spot.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's a really good spot. Wow. It's not New Jersey, but it's okay. And you're part of the Asbury Park revival?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, honestly, I'm kind of renting right now, but we're gonna finding our way. But yeah, it's been great. We moved earlier this year, and just being by the shore in Asbury has been awesome. We kind of started in obviously in Jersey, and then trickled down Asbury Park as one of our beta markets, quote unquote. And people here are awesome. So
yeah. So
great.
how did the whole thing start? I mean, so you guys were pals since you were kids, or?
Yeah. Yeah. So we've known each other since elementary school, honestly. Nice. We grew up in Montclair, New Jersey.
Nice.
So Tom, where exactly did you grow up?
We've got family in Clifton.
Oh, so we're neighbors.
I have a nephew's in Montclair right now. And Clifton was like where my grandparents were and my parents, before they had us. And that's like our roots is all in that area. And then we moved. I was raised up in Bergen County, up north of that. Yeah. And then down Long Beach Island. And that's been our whole run.
That's awesome. So we probably know the same places. I mean, we could do a whole podcast on,
exactly.
Clifton, Montclair hits, Holsteins. We could go through the Sopranos and, do the whole thing, right?
Some guy's driving in Illinois right now, like, please don't do that.
Like everyone else who's listening to this is like, just shut up and go on with the whiskey story.
Tell us about the whiskey.
So we grew up in Montclair, literally 10 houses down from each other. We went to Watchung Elementary School in Montclair. We actually were student of the month together once, believe it or not.
Tom, there's this infamous photo where we were fed just way too much as 10-year-old children. And we can share with you afterwards, but we just, we were well fed, and you can tell maybe they felt bad for us because we're student of the month, but it was a pretty hysterical photo.
2 little pudge balls.
On top of it, Tom, my mom dressed me in all red that day with a turtleneck up to it was terrible, man. Yeah.
Moms love a nice turtleneck.
Unbelievable. Yeah. But
tuck your pants in with a belt.
Exactly. She used to make me homemade Lunchables. That's how my childhood went, because she refused to, feed me that crap. But
she sounds great.
She's awesome. You could probably do another show with her. But so we've just known each other forever. And obviously, really became close. And, a few years after college, that's really when like the whole bourbon boom and kind of cocktail revival started. So we were trying not to be poor anymore as college kids, and getting our first jobs. And so started getting a little bit of cash here and there with our first, few years out of school, and started kind of getting into bourbon, starting to develop a passion for it and whiskey. But the fun thing was, our friends, our parents, not our dads, but, particularly our moms, they weren't really sharing that same appreciation that we were for some of these craft distilleries, this craft bourbon movement.
Right.
They were.
What were you drinking at the time? Like when you guys first got into bourbon?
So not making this up whatsoever, because you're going to be like, when I tell you how long it took us to figure out, the end product, you're going to be like, you idiots. But we were definitely slinging bourbon and gingers.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So we were really getting, I don't know, Chris, like, I'm pretty sure that's what we were doing besides after we got rid of the rum phase and the vodka Red Bull thing. Right.
Right. Vodka Red Bull was a phase I knew couldn't last.
Yeah. Well, you'd be surprised. You could start sending them these bars, at least in Jersey, the Jersey Shore, it's still alive and well.
It is. It's still going. It just, it never made sense to me.
I know. And then along with Jaeger, it's kind of wild. Good for them. But on top of that, we just really, just kind of entry level whiskeys we started getting into. And then we started getting, more and more high end. So, you can start off with the Bullets or the Blantons, or excuse me, the Buffalo Trace. And then you kind of graduate your way up to the good stuff, the Blands or the Eco Rares, which you can't even find anymore. But on that end, there was, $29.99 on the shelf and you're good. Right. But that's when we started kind of getting a real appreciation for it. And we started seeing these other guys start popping up, like Widow Jane and some of these other guys doing some Hudson, doing some really cool stuff. But again, we were bringing home these bottles of whiskey and to our buddies and our friends, our big group, because we all kind of grew up together, and they're just kind of like spitting it out. Like, this is, and we're like, why? Like, this is amazing stuff. But they would gravitate towards the flavored whiskey that would either be jam packed with sugar, or like Chris likes to say, right, you leave the bar and your feet are kind of sticking to the floor at the end of it. But they were drinking this stuff, and we just couldn't wrap our hands around, like, these guys are crafting this their entire life, putting their entire life in this beautiful elixir, liquid, put in a bottle, and we just didn't really understand. And we realized that the common thread was just like the finish of that whiskey, just that whiskey finish just wasn't really applicable to a lot of other folks. It might have been to us and millions of other people around the world, but there's this huge group that just wasn't there yet. So we got to thinking, how do we make this kind of fun, applicable to a whole other demographic, and really bring new folks into the whiskey category without pissing off your bourbon drinker?
Right.
That was
that's a good combination. That is tricky, because like when you were a kid and you first like even like just not even stealing from your parents, but just smelling it around adults, you know, bourbon is like, whoa, what are you doing with that?
Right.
And then you know, vodka, you're like, okay, we should probably try and get some of that because it's not making my hair curl.
Right. And then what are you mixing it with, right? You're mixing it with all this other stuff. And kind of with the vodka, you might be doing the same exact thing that's with enough flavored whiskey, like dumping the sugar or dumping the juice or whatever it is into it. So Chris and I were just kind of thinking here, like, okay, there's definitely this divide in the category and the market is in general. So is there room for us? And, you know, maybe we should just take a stab, like kind of like one of those moments where you're on the couch drinking your, like I said, your bourbon and gingers. You're like, oh, how cool would it be to start a whiskey company? You know,
we can't tell you how many bourbon gingers we were into when we said we wanted to do it. It could have been quite a few.
Had you had any inkling of food and beverage? Was that anywhere in your world? Was it in school? Or was it just purely the love of what you were drinking at the time?
No, sir. We just really, we didn't have any experience. I think, Chris, I think you were a busboy for 2 weeks. Is that right?
I put that on my resume, and that was all you needed, you know?
Yeah.
We had zip experience, and I mean, maybe if we did, it wouldn't have been such a roller coaster to launch the brand. I mean, we tell people it took 4 years to launch the brand, which is true. And you're in your early 20s, so you're figuring these things out, but you're also learning about a very complicated industry in weird ways. It's, you know, regulatory wise and stuff like that. I mean, you're making booze. So maybe if we had a little more experience, we would have launched, you know, 2 years earlier. But we're grateful for the experience and the learning experience we had, because we felt pretty equipped when we launched. So
yeah, 4 years actually sounds pretty quick, actually, from not knowing anything to like getting a bottle.
It felt like 10.
It felt like
yeah.
But Tom, I mean, just we were also, again, being just such rookies, and you know, we were really passionate. But I think that's kind of what even got us to start and people to start picking up our calls after the 10th time of calling them, because, you know, you got some, you know, Jersey guys. Okay. First of all, we got that going for us. Right. And we're calling around, you know, Kentucky, Indiana. And at that time there's like, you know, seriously, like you guys are really, cause they don't want to take on a client or a partner or whatever that they don't think necessarily is going to be able to get that reorder or doesn't have that experience.
Yeah. But who are you calling it? Who are you trying to get on the phone? Like, what's the first step there? We
weren't going to distill ourselves. So we were looking for partners to help us source our juice. But also it had to be very particular, because with our infusion and using real ingredients, it was very particular. It's not like we can just go, oh, hey, like a lot of the guys do, let's get mash bill A, mash bill B. We'll wrap it together. We'll sprinkle our ginger recipe on there and call it a day. And we're going to hit. It took a lot of refinement. And so we were calling pretty much every distillery that we've heard or we're open to clients, you know, working with them on a custom, you know, product.
Right.
That's everywhere from Colorado, Indiana, right, Chris? What am I missing? Florida, Kentucky.
There's probably 20 of them and sent a little mason jar homemade recipe.
Right.
And we said, hey, can you make this? Can you help us make this? Like,
Tom, those were good times, man. Like, those were awesome. Like, these guys thought we were nuts. Like, giving them a mason jar, they probably thought it was like, you know, whatever. It was awesome. So,
So what do you bring to the table at that point? It's just the idea and the passion, I would imagine. And persistence.
Yeah. Look, these guys were awesome at the end of the day. I just think they were just getting a lot of calls, and we just, it also for us, we kept on changing because we wanted to be perfect. And we tasted everybody on this. And before we even got to ginger, like we've tasted probably every mix known to, like, I'll tell you right now, and I always say this: avocado and whiskey don't mix, Tom. Don't ever do it. Like, it's not shelf stable. It doesn't go well. It's awful. So don't ever do it, man. But we did, like, pears and mangoes and cherries and all these things. And we were even trying like the apples and honeys of the world, that's already out, but we just wanted to understand. This was as Chris was saying, a learning curve. We just needed to understand, okay, what a mash bill is. Let's go back to the basics of whiskey. Like, what is this wood? What are these char levels? What are these toast levels going to do to our whiskey?
Right.
And how is that going to marry with this whatever we want to put in there to make it kind of mellow and different for folks?
Right.
And then again, the whole idea was to bridge that gap between those folks who are like shooting whatever sugary shot was at the time, without naming any names. And then, still the guys that, were aligned with us as far as getting into, the finer bourbons of the world, the finer whiskeys of the world. And where's that balance?
Right.
Again, without sacrificing quality for flavor. So we found that ginger finally, by the way, not to talk your ear off, man. Chris was right. I don't shut up.
That's why you're here. That's why you're here.
But there's more than one type of ginger, Tom. I don't know if you know that, man. There's like multiple, I'm sure you do actually. There's like multiple species of ginger.
Yeah.
And types, and they source from all over the world, and each one can be a little bit different. And so we're in Jersey, right? So we had to source like baby ginger from like New York State, because that wasn't in the season down in like wherever we were looking. And so I think my mom still has frozen baby ginger from 6 years ago, or whatever it was, like in her freezer. But
we were looking for younger ginger, and it was in the dead winter. And we found this place who had it. They had it just left over from their harvest in the summer. And we only needed like I'm talking about going to a grocery store and buying a little bit of ginger. And they're like, all right, man, what do you want? You want 25 or 50 pounds? I'm like, 50 pounds? We just went and put it in a mason jar, So JD's mom's still in the freezer 8 years ago. Now today still has baby ginger sitting in the freezer.
So what were you doing when you get that ginger, that fresh ginger, and you're messing around and trying to figure out if this is good? Are you literally just mashing it up and mixing it in?
Everything. We learned about what a Cuisinart was during that time. We were mastering, we were cooking it down, we were boiling it down. So we were kind of making, reductions with it. We were also just putting the raw ginger in there. And it's very different. Again, not culinary trained at all. Right. So, to a chef listening to this, or even to you, Tom, like, probably like, you idiots, like they would be, you could have cut, all this time. But for us, we were also having fun. Like, we would never take that back. I mean, we were still working full-time jobs in the city. So we'd be running home, and just, so excited to like, oh, we'll try this concoction. Like that didn't work. That didn't work. So
that's what makes it great. That is what makes it great. It's like, there's a passion behind it. So how did you know that you had gotten the right amount, and what was that? Like, what was it, a reduction? Was it a?
Yeah. So we have our secret formula here, but it was, it was a combination. It was basically a combination of like cold pressing the ginger, and then also extracting some of those natural oils from a couple species of ginger, and then combining that into the whiskey. Now, you also know that when you juice ginger, it's super, super cloudy. So that was the other thing, because we couldn't, this is where we are today. It could have very easily looked like oat milk, right? So we had that was another hurdle. Yeah. So, but we ended up doing a combination of things to really just properly express that ginger. But really, the whole idea was not for when you enjoy Misunderstood to be like, oh, this is ginger all over the place. It was really just to have that nice, subtle, fresh ginger feel at the end of when you're having Misunderstood. And so there was a lot of moving parts. If the folks listening they probably understand by now. I'm sure we beat it with a dead horse, but that's kind of that was what happened. So that's where we ended up.
That is it really, I mean, because just going from zero to, all right, we're going to go do this. It's like every single step is how do you get the bottle? How do you get the label? Who's the guy with the thing? How are we getting the ginger to the bourbon? How are we going to make this consistent? I mean, it's a huge
consistency was key, and Tom, Chris can speak to, because Chris actually does this, and I'm sure he doesn't love to do this, but he's the best at doing it, because we sure as hell don't want me doing it. But he actually manages all of our raw goods, our dry goods, everything, to make sure that, you know, it's on time for production, that we have, you know, enough juice in stock, and, you know, kind of does those operations. So right, Chris, glass has been a lot of fun this year, right?
Oh yeah.
I mean, everything's been fun, quote unquote, but yeah, glass has been interesting. But yeah, I mean, you know, we were just talking about the liquid here, right? And we haven't even spoke about, you know, the brand and creating a brand, which is, this is such a brand heavy market, right? I mean, you're in the one of the most competitive CPG industries in the world, and the brand had to match what's in the bottle, like, to us. And that was, you know, a parallel project with, you know, spending late nights and, you know, trying not to burn down the kitchen. You have, you know, creating the brand on the other side too, which is, there's probably one like presentation that JD has on his laptop that has like 600 slides in it of just different concepts and ideas that we had, that some we could look through it. It's almost like a scrapbook. Like we could probably cry laughing from some of the stuff that we came up with, but you know, eventually we landed where we landed on, but we had a great.
It's important though. It really, I remember I did a corporate gig for one of the biggest liquor distributors in the world. It was in Vegas, and they did what was it, InBev? Maybe not InBev. I forget who it was, but they handled like everything from 50 cents liquor to all these whiskeys, and it was Maker's Mark, and I mean, there was just tons of stuff. And they would have these presentations, you know, before each brand. They would bring out the brand, and they would talk to all their salespeople, thousands of people, and the videos that they would show. And I mean, the backstory and the logo and the way the bottle looked, everyone was such its own thing. And honestly, some of it worked. Some of it would turn you on. Some of it you'd kind of laugh at. It was like you could be dead in the water without even realizing that you just picked the wrong lettering.
100%.
It's crazy.
It's crazy. Like we're not designers either. We could probably do a whole other podcast, just like, you know, what we're not. But so what we got here so far, chefs, not, you know, and designers. But honestly, the design piece is crucial. You know, we had a vision for what we wanted. We knew what we wanted people to feel with Misunderstood. That we knew from day one, right? And then we also.
And did you know the name?
No.
That came later too.
Very last. That was
very last.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
It was a big puzzle. It was a big puzzle that we're putting together.
Right. So I'm sorry to interrupt. So what was the thing that you wanted them to feel?
I think we just wanted people, when they looked at our brand, when they drank our brand, when they enjoyed our brand, I think we just wanted people to relax and just kind of smile. I think if we put a smile on someone's face, we did our job. And there's multiple ways you can do that as a brand. Obviously, you know, if you enjoy our whiskey, hopefully you get a little smile on there. But with all of our branding, some of our videos and things, it was really kind of make people feel good, because in our you know, category, whiskey, I mean, there's history beyond. I mean, whiskey is a big deal in the United States, let alone the world. Yeah. And we saw this the same thing, and still kind of today, to be honest with you, although we enjoy pretty much every one of them to come out, it's the same side of branding. It's the same mission. It's the same this and that, although it's a little tweak here and there. And although there's a lot of artists that are behind those barrels and that distillation process and that blending process, we felt with our target, you know, consumer, that wasn't going to speak to them. Right. And so again, our goal was to bring in a lot of new folks to try something different, and try something different can be new to whiskey, or, very much so educated in the category, but just trying something new, kind of having some fun, and I don't know, not being so pretentious was a big thing.
Yeah, because that market definitely did become a little bit of a handlebar mustache.
Yeah.
A little of the snob appeal of I know more about this than you do, kind of a thing, which just means that segment of the market has grown. It's become big, and it starts bringing in people that really like digest it and stuff. But it's funny. During that movement, it was like I had two good friends who really got into bourbons and whiskeys, and not single malt so much, and they were drinking a lot of it. And I was like, this is still bourbon. Like this isn't like we're just like drinking like IPAs and you can have 6 of them. Like this is like still serious stuff. But if you can make it fun, if you can put a little lightness to it, that is refreshing for the category.
Yeah. And so we knew that like the people we were kind of speaking to, I think wanted that. They didn't want to feel if they were trying this, they need to know everything right away. We wanted them to experiment. We wanted them to feel good about trying something new. And it's okay if you don't know everything, like just kind of welcome into this awesome whiskey world. And then when you try this, maybe you'll try another awesome brand, and then maybe you'll graduate from there. And although we have one SKU now, we do plan to expand, and we can potentially take that customer on this really fun journey of spirits in general, but mainly whiskey, kind of breaking it out of its bottle and just, I don't know, just having some fun. Hell, I mean, Tom, that you make people laugh all the time, man. Like that's kind of like what
it is. Yeah, that's a great mission. I mean, it's not a small thing, especially these days, to give somebody that kind of like a little cul-de-sac of joy where you can get out of the scrum. That's totally worth it. I mean, I looked up your website when we were signing up to do it, and it does have that feeling. It's not a guy with a plaid shirt and big old dirty jeans with suspenders.
God, I'm so happy I took my plaid shirt off today, because I literally had a plaid shirt on before this. I'm not kidding.
You know what I mean? Like those big old guys that look like the Bear Jamboree.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like the moonshiners, right?
Yeah.
No, we wanted to. I mean, everyone uses the word modernize. I don't know if that's exactly what we're doing, but anyway, we just wanted to kind of go back to the basics, but have a little bit of a twist and still respect the history that has, even got us into the the category, but kind of do our own twist on it. And the other thing too, Tom, is like when we launched, like with this, which we didn't know what this was going to do. We knew we had something, but we weren't sure what the market was going to respond, how the market was going to respond. And man, when I said the cocktail boom, wow, like this, the product really is just so fun in cocktails and things. And that was awesome to watch, even from day one, because again, we never spent a day behind a bar. So just learning from all these folks, whether you had a mustache or not, I mean, these guys were, it was really, really cool to see what they were coming up with. And again, talking about having fun, that was awesome.
Yeah. Is it hard getting it into places? I know a friend of mine had a spirit, and it was like literally on the ground, showing up at bars, introducing these guys to it, and hoping that they'll carry it. Will they put it up on the shelf? All that stuff. That's is that a difficult thing to pull off?
It's very the liquor industry is very antiquated in that way, where it's a lot of door-to-door sales. And luckily for us, we have a unique product that people seem to really like, and it seems like it has a lot of use behind the bar, so it's pretty fun. And I mean, ginger's such a proponent behind it. I mean, think about how much ginger is used behind an average bar. So it's easier for us because we do have a unique product, and we have some really good sales programs. We've learned how to sell the whiskey, but it's very antiquated in certain ways, man. Like you do a lot of door-to-door sales. I mean, that's part of the game. And you build relationships with these people. And sometimes those people leave those places and go to other places. And it's part of the game. It's like a big game of whack-a-mole.
Right.
But it's
Did you have one? Did you have one like big one that you're like, holy shit, we got into whatever?
Yeah. Oh man.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I can think of one. It doesn't exist as it is today, but there was this big beer garden in Jersey City that was our lighthouse account. And we didn't know what to do with ourselves when they put us in a strawberry ginger lemonade, and it was on tap, so it's like a draft.
Oh man!
And I mean, I'm not lying to you when we tell you the first weekend. We were so focused on this account, and they didn't order enough like strawberry puree from their distributor. And it was like it was right before 4th of July weekend. And we're like, we're not letting this drink is being poured all weekend. JD and I go to ShopRite, the grocery store across the street, buy all the lemon juices. I mean, like so many cases of strawberries, like filled to the shopping cart. And we're back in their loading docks with a blender. Blending strawberries.
Chris, you're forgetting we had to go to Montclair to get the Cuisinart.
Yeah.
Came back. So remember I talked about a Cuisinart? This is great. It's as if we're coming full circle, like this was planned. We're not. I totally forgot. So back to the Cuisinart. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So you're pushing all this stuff up.
I just never forget like all the busboys looking at us, and like we're sitting there like squeezing lemons and like blending strawberries, and it's like they have like those loading carts like going around us, and it's packed that weekend.
Yeah.
But you know, we saved the drink, and that drink was on. But that was our lighthouse account.
Amazing.
At that point in time. And yes, you do get those accounts that really get behind the brand.
Yeah.
And, that was one that was, we gave everything it was a great partnership with them. Sure.
That's so great.
We also had it was Cecilia's like lemon juice too. It wasn't like a US Foods like proper restaurant like gallon of lemon juice. So we're here literally squeezing lemons.
Like you're having a party in your house.
They didn't even have the big ones they sell. It was like the little guys.
Yeah. I remember pulling up to ShopRite, and I bought all of the Cecilia lemon juices. And this old lady next to me looked at me like I was the devil. Like I had a whole shopping cart, and she just wanted one, and I felt that I was like, here, take a couple. There you go. But like I had a clean house of the shopper. It was amazing. Those are memories that you never forget when you.
No, of course not. So when this whole when the troubles hit, and the food industry is, you mentioned a little bit about dealing with the glass and stuff.
Yeah.
Was it really just the supply of the ingredients that has been the challenge for you guys, or did you feel the impact of people not serving as much? I mean, because I guess two sides of it. One was people weren't going out as much and showing up at the bars and stuff, but people were buying a lot of nicer alcohols to have at home.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yep. They were also buying we saw, just in general, we saw a spike in value brands, value wines, things like that. And then, yes, they were buying more premium. For us, Tom, we feel very lucky. I mean, we worked hard, but, in that time, Chris did a great job, we invested in some of those dry goods early on, and were able to kind of carry us over, which for us, and we're not a big company, so that was a big deal.
Yeah.
To do that. But we also launching this brand, unless you have, a lot of cash, to start off, tastings are a big deal. Hitting the ground and educating people on the brand. And we do extremely well. Once it's liquid to lips for us is kind of like a no-brainer. We have a lot of fun introducing new folks to the whiskey.
Yeah, right.
So before the pandemic really got heated up, and talking like 2020 here, 2019, 2018, Chris and I, we'll just say date nights were on Tuesdays, because Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays, Sundays was just liquor store after liquor store after liquor store. And that was okay. And we're thankful that we did that. I think, what did we do, Chris? Over 500 tastings or something like that?
Wow.
Yeah. So in New Jersey itself, just in 2019, we did 300 tastings. And so just think about, so average, you're sampling 50 people per tasting. And this is a team of 4, Tom. So when JD says date nights are off, date nights are off, man. Unless you're going to meet us in aisle 15, ShopRite,
Yeah.
that's it. But we did 300 tastings in 2019, a little bit less in 2018. But if you're thinking about 50 people per tasting, like that's 15,000 people just in liquor store tastings that we sampled in New Jersey and in 2019. So it saved
Amazing.
us from,
because
this is a discovery brand. So you kind of have a double-edged sword when you're a unique brand, because yes, once you sample people, they're like, oh, there's nothing like this out there. You're great. Yeah. But also there's a tad bit of shelf reluctancy where it's like, oh, it's a ginger infused whiskey. I want to try that before I buy that, and it's not an issue. It's part of the world.
Introduction.
But we were lucky enough to really kind of sink our teeth into the markets that we were in, and it helped us in 2020 for sure.
Right. Oh, that's great.
And the e-commerce piece, of course, too, we kind of pivoted to that as well. We couldn't really be face to face to folks. And then that's kind of when like some of the creative videos, and we started having a little bit of fun to get a little bit of eyeballs. Tom, if you haven't seen it, I'll send you this video we did. It was called the Misunderstood Cleanse for January, because January is typically a little slow.
Right.
So, making that green drink better with ginger, Tom. That's what we did. And a buddy of ours had a gym, and we kind of did the whole.
That's great.
Little introduction. I'll send it to you. You'll get a kick. I think you'll appreciate it.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, dry January, I think, went out the window as soon as Omicron hit. Everyone was like, "All right, screw it."
For sure. I would
talk to me next year.
Yeah, I was just on the phone with Chris, right before the call. I said, I don't think we've ever been so busy in January. It's just, I think everyone's just ready for, the majority of the country to heat up a little bit, get ready for spring and summer. And they're planning right now. So,
I believe it. All right. So you went through this whole process, and I'll ask that question after. So how did you get the name? Where'd the name come from? What does it mean?
Yeah, so it was a long process, man. We actually went through a few names beforehand, and they just didn't pan out. But Misunderstood, really, our whole mission was to kind of, again, welcome new folks in the whiskey category. We felt that flavored whiskey in general, we needed to change that kind of perception.
Right.
So that's what we wanted to kind of hammer home with this product, and just change people's perceptions about flavored whiskey, but also kind of whiskey in general. And so we feel that whiskey can be misunderstood, especially if you're talking to a purist and you're like, what the heck are you doing to the whiskey? Why do you have ginger in this? And then they try it and they kind of understand. Same thing with, a rookie going in there. They have this perception about whiskey. We're here to change that as well. So it kind of speaks to our whole mission, if you will.
Right.
And then, of course, we have a lot of fun, again, tasting. I can't tell you how many. I could tell you everything, every response that we get, like, oh, did you know that I'm misunderstood? Or like, hey, you could reach out to that singer who sings Misunderstood, and they start singing after their third sample.
Right.
We've seen it all. But that's kind of the origin of the name.
Nice.
So, and also, as Jay said, the fun with the branding. So just get in there, making people laugh, making people smile. It's not so serious. You're selling booze. We're selling booze.
Right. Should be fun.
With great memories. So that's a big thing for us too.
Is it how do you recommend you drink it? Straight up? Cocktail?
We'll be here all night. How much time do you have?
Your personal preference.
I love Misunderstood on the rocks with a fresh lemon peel. That's probably just without anything else. If you put it on the rocks, because it, with any spirit, but specifically the whiskey, if you add just a little water, most distillers and blenders would recommend this. It really actually opens up the spirit, and you just get just like flavor bomb of whatever that, whatever the grain is or whatever really that whiskey was sitting in at the time. So that's why the importance of some of these, multiple cask finishes or whatever really just opens up that flavor profile, reduces the alcohol a little bit, and really allows that spirit to shine. So it's very similar. You really get some of that younger ginger, that more floral ginger. It's kind of like perfumey, if you will.
Right.
And lemon just really complements it. It's probably my go-to, but in the summer, if we're working, man, and we're drinking at the same time, Yeah, we're always drinking on the job, by the way, Tom. It's great.
Not a bad job.
We call it stood and soda. So just a little soda water, little lime juice. It's like a boozy ginger ale. It's super crisp and refreshing.
Nice.
Yeah, but I don't know, Chris. I know you're a big stood and soda fan, dude. But
stood and soda is definitely it's too easy to drink. It's a great one. And,
yeah,
and it's cool because it's you don't whiskey with soda water. Sometimes it's kind of it's a definitely acquired taste for sure.
Yeah.
But this just tastes like a light ginger ale without all the sugar.
Mm-hmm.
I also like classic cocktails with it. So your old fashioned, your Manhattans are delicious with it.
Right.
Penicillin, I love penicillins as a cocktail, so that's a really good thing too.
Right.
And then you can just dive into a very deep hole of all the cocktails you can do with it, but I'll leave it with a couple classics there that are.
Is there something to when the purists say when like with even getting more to like a single malt scotch and things like that, where they think if you put any ice or any water in it, it's like, oh, you're like a sissy.
Yeah, sometimes.
Is there something to not putting stuff into those? I know this is out of your bottle, but
no, we'll talk about whiskey all day, man. That's how we started. We just had a passion for it. We could do this all day. Yeah, I think, sometimes, cask strength is becoming a big thing too. It's just, you're getting the full approach of that whiskey. You're getting the full family there. You're getting all those beautiful notes that's in that barrel, that's in that whiskey, and it's just coming together. And that's super, again, I don't think there's a right way. And at least this is our positioning. Like, you drink it how you like to drink it, man.
Sure.
I mean, the guys who are the leads at Sazerac and started Pappy Van Winkle, they'll tell you the same thing. I mean, it's like, you drink it how you want to drink it. It's whiskey. I mean, at the end of the day, we're all getting rid of it the same way. So like, you kind of just enjoy it and take your own approach to it.
Right.
So the guys that love the single malts or the scotches or whatever, to be honest, like, Chris actually is a bigger Scotch guy than I am. He likes the Lafroigs and the smoke bombs and things like that. For me, I'm a little bit on the lighter side, but I think it's just kind of how you want to approach it. I think now, a lot of the blenders, at least that I've read and had the pleasure of talking to, they do encourage you to just maybe even a couple dashes of water just to open it up a bit. And that's what we've been seeing, at least on the American whiskey side.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah.
All right.
Tom, as he was saying, it's, the whiskey is getting stronger and stronger and stronger. So there's more barrel proof stuff that's coming that's not covered in any water to begin with. So it's almost like you're proofing the whiskey yourself, right? I mean, if you think about it that way. I mean, I drink very strong stuff, and JD and I will sit there sometimes and open up a bottle. I'm like, what's the proof on this? This is insane. Give me water right now. I cannot drink this drink. Yeah. So, I mean, we have those moments as well. And if anything, we're seasoned professionals.
But what about you, Tom? What are you into, man?
In this whole area, I really like Lagavulin. Okay. Yeah, I really like. I like that very smoky, peaty thing, but I don't drink it that often. It's usually like a end of the night kind of a thing. It's not like what and then I do this radio show with Fortune Feemster, and she comes from the South, and she really loves the bourbons. So we were starting to make old fashions when we were hanging out and stuff, and we got into what's the Angel's Envy? Yeah. She was, that's like her favorite. And cool. And when I did that event, like, I have a whole bunch of it that got sent to my house, and the whiskeys and stuff I don't drink straight that often, and the bourbons, like, I do the single malts, like, I will make something out of it.
Cool.
Yeah. I'm into all of it. I really like drinking.
Fun hobby. It's a fun hobby.
I love it.
The misunderstood old fashioned is delicious. So whenever
that's great. So how many bottles do you crank out a year?
We produced, we're on track to produce 25,000 cases this year. So,
whoa.
So 150,000 bottles this year. So,
wow.
And that's not including, we're also finally, which we're 2 years too late to this, not late, but we should have done 2 years ago. 50 ml little bottles too. So we're gonna start that stuff out, and that's a drive trial, right? So that's a business strategy just to get it on the registers and stuff like that. Easy to set it out.
Right.
So yeah.
Oh, that's great. Oh,
we're not too proud to be in a mini, Tom. We're not.
No, how great would it be to be on a flight and have the little misunderstood bottles presented by your flight attendant?
I know.
Anybody at JetBlue?
One time when you just jogged a memory, when my daughter was teething and we were on JetBlue, she was screaming from LA to New York the whole way. She's just so miserable and so much pain that they literally gave her little Jack Daniels bottles.
That's what my dad did.
I just have pictures of in my mind of her with 2 little bottles of Jack Daniels, screaming and crying and waving them in the air.
He used to rub it on my gums.
Yeah, it worked
when I was teething. Yeah, and he still does. It's really awkward.
Well, you're a close family.
Come on, Dad. Like we don't, Sorry, this little humor. I love it.
Well, thank you so much for spending some time. It really is such a great story, and hopefully, when we'll cross paths in New Jersey, if somebody comes back from Austin once in a while, and we'll have a drink together.
I'm here, Tom. So count me in, man. Would love to take you out. That'd be a lot of fun.
Great.
So.
All right, cool. Continues the success.
Thank you, sir.
Tom.
All right, guys. Take it easy.
Man.
Ronnie,
Mr. Papa,
how are you?
I'm okay. Good to hear from you.
Yeah, it's nice to hear from you too. Thanks for coming on. I was very excited. First of all, I want to say congratulations on your tour. It looks like you're having a great time and really killing it on the road right now.
Thank you. Yeah, I think lucky people are coming out to the shows, and I think I hope I'm delivering to them. It feels like I'm delivering to them, so hopefully they come back again. And I feel like I'm getting a lot of first time comedy goers too, which is
really? Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
What do you think that is?
Why? As in, why do I think that way?
It was from their special, or?
Oh yeah, I think from the special. I think that's also to be quite frank, I think Asian Americans or Asian people, or even Asian people outside of America, there's not really a lot of kind of history of going to see an Asian stand-up comedian or even a live performing comedian of any type. So I think there's a lot of oh, what is this? We go see him. Is he going to do the same stuff he did on Netflix? The doors open at 7. Does that mean he's going to be on at 7? Where is he? Why aren't you on stage at 7:15? Why aren't you on stage? And people, yeah. And then you kind of do the show, and then they kind of get it. Okay, this is what it is. Yeah. So it's fun that way. Yeah.
Oh, that's very cool. That's great. Well, it's awesome to see. I'm just seeing the venues that you're playing and everything. It's really super cool. And I love anything during the year where we're supposed to eat food and enjoy ourselves of any culture. I get very excited because it just gives me another reason to not stop eating.
Sure.
And I know we are right now entering the Lunar New Year. We've got New Year coming up on February 1st, but we're supposed to be eating coming up. So I wanted to tap your brain and see what the history was in your family and tell me what I should be eating.
Oh yeah, man, where do I begin? I mean, the whole thing kind of begins and ends with food, as I think most holidays kind of do, most of the fun ones anyway. I think the lead up is you want to get some snacks that are traditionally kind of you put them out for people who visit your home. So during Lunar New Year, you're supposed to go visit your elders, elder family members. So when you go to their homes, they will have a spread of kind of pastries and confectionaries. There's this really nice pineapple tart that I think you should try if you get a chance.
Pineapple tart?
Go Chinatown, go ask for the pineapple tarts. They're small. It's small serving size, so it's not like a giant tart. It's not like a hand-sized tart. It's more like a smaller than a Reese's Pieces. And then I think that's a pretty original thing that I haven't seen. You tell me. I mean, I don't think I've seen white people replicate that particular.
No.
Yeah.
No, not at all. And that's actually a good thing. Maybe I roll in and just start buying all this stuff, because it's not stuff I'm probably going to be able to make.
Yeah, no, you don't want to make this is like this is like you need baking skills, you need raw ingredients, there's no like ready-made mix. You have to kind of make it from scratch. Just go buy it. And there's some famous ones, there's some famous brands. So I think number one, the kind of lead up to Lunar New Year is pineapple tarts, and there's some other stuff, but I think pineapple tarts is a good kind of gateway.
Right. And it's you basically celebrate for a good week leading up to the actual New Year, right?
Yeah, so I mean the super traditional, like back in the olden days, you go for like a month. But in my lifetime, we've never gone for a month. It's gone for like a weekend at most. Even a weekend is like kind of long. Usually we can't make it. We reduce it down to one day. But so you have plenty of time to go visit all your extended relatives, because family is very important in Confucian kind of culture. But in modern times, we can't really spend a month, doing this stuff anymore. So we just kind of make it like it's almost like Thanksgiving, where the first day of Lunar New Year, and then the nighttime is traditionally it's called a reunion dinner. So everyone kind of shows up. Usually, for obvious reasons, you'll be at the grandparents' house. Everyone shows up, and then you just like Thanksgiving, you have to brave traffic jams and overpriced flights and tickets, and it's just a logistical nightmare for everyone to just squeeze into this. Everyone's trying to get somewhere on that day is so annoying.
It's so funny that all of of course our cultures are so different, but all the aggravations are exactly the same.
And it's you're fighting to get to this thing, and for me, I'm like, man, if we stagger this, we will all have a good time. If we stagger, you do Chinese New Year this day, I'll do Chinese New Year tomorrow. You do it, we staggered it. It'll be perfect, but we can't. We all gotta. 7 billion, whatever. We all have to get in our cars and drive. And it's always like, that you live in the north and then you're trying to get to the south, and then you live in the south and try to get to the north. And
of course.
And then you finally get there, and there's a lot. And then the other tradition during Chinese New Year is like you kind of buy new clothing, and you have to cut your hair before the New Year. You can't cut your hair during the New Year, so. It's like
right. And there's something like with sweeping out the bad luck.
You don't. There's lots of little superstitions, like you're not supposed to like sweep your house during Chinese New Year because you're sweeping away the good fortune. So you just have to like sit in your filth for like a week. Nothing makes sense, and then which is way more lucky, right? It's way more lucky to just be gross. We all know that.
Right.
You really won the lottery sitting in your filth, and then you go visit your grandpa's house, and you're wearing your nicest. It's like you're wearing your Sunday best, right? Your new clothes for the year. You just cut your hair, and then you meet up with relatives, and then depending on your family, traditionally there's a lot of like gambling going on. Like you play a lot of mahjong or you play cards or something, depending on how strict your family is. Right, so the gambling will happen regardless by like the degenerate uncles. The only question is whether your parents are the kind of parents who are like, all right, we'll make an exception. This one time a year, we'll let our kids kind of gamble with like 10 cents on 20 cents. Or are your parents like my parents, where they're like, we don't condone this at all. You're not going anywhere near this gambling. And
and get this uncle out of here. Stay away from your uncle.
Right. In fact, I realized when I was a kid, they don't like you even watching because like I didn't understand, but it was like, of course, when you're playing poker and like your freaking nephew is behind you. And you don't want him to give away what the hell's going on. So they will always be so angry with us, and we wouldn't understand why we couldn't just watch. You know what I mean?
Right. That's funny. And then what do you eat? What do you eat when you're there?
That wasn't even the food part. So then, you get the reunion dinner, and honestly, it kind of like, man, it really depends. Like we get, I don't think there's. I could be wrong here. Like usually like roast pork is like a go-to for like Chinese celebrations, but I don't even think that's mandatory. I don't know whether we kind of lost the traditions.
Right.
I'm sure someone will come and tell me like traditionally you should eat this and this, but like I'm just saying like it wasn't like there was like a turkey go-to. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
this is the dish. So we would do like steamed fish. You probably have like braised chicken. You obviously everyone would get rice. There'd be like maybe roast duck, but it's all the kind of celebratory foods, I would say.
Right. Like all of the big highlights. I had read I read something in the New York Times because I would check out their cooking. They're always like telling you what you should cook, and as they're coming up into the Lunar New Year, they were talking about longevity noodles. If you ever
Oh yeah, and then there's these. Yeah, okay. So I guess you could do that too. Yeah, like and then like I get they're the black ones, right? Like the black sauce noodles.
Yeah, black sauce noodles, and they're never cut or broken by the cook, and if they can be eaten without biting through the strands, it's considered, I guess, good luck.
Yeah, it's choking hazard. You have to do this. You have to swallow these noodles whole. That's literally like, hey, try to swallow this thing whole and you can live a long time. And you're like, I'm pretty sure that's the opposite of what's gonna happen here. Yeah.
You probably should chew it really well and get it as small as you can before.
Yeah, and we would tell kids this, so 5-6-year-old kids are like trying to swallow entire noodle strands without breaking them. It's ridiculous. Yeah, it's ridiculous. That's a sign of long life. Yeah, I guess. Yeah. If you can survive that, you'll probably survive anything.
Right.
No.
If you can survive the holidays at your family's house, and that's cross-cultural too.
Right. And and I guess we call that anyway, in Malaysia we call those like Hokkien noodles. So I guess here they call it longevity noodles or something. Different names for same stuff. And
right.
Yeah.
What is your favorite Asian dish just for the holidays? Like, is there one kind of a dish regardless?
I guess it would be love a good roast duck. I think a good roast duck is underrated. Underrated animal. I think that would be my go-to. You just eat it with just rice and like a nice like honey glaze sauce.
Ooh, nice. Yeah. I know duck is definitely underrated. I was actually reading about like an old recipe, like from someone was like into researching and how duck was such a dominant thing at one point, and then it kind of falls off. But it also it's like goose and duck, and it almost makes it more special during the holidays.
Yeah, I guess it's a unique, it's a more unique dish, but it is. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, how do Americans eat duck usually? It's almost like French style, right?
Right.
Duck breast. Yeah, and it's kind of a little bit. I don't want to say undercooked, but they definitely eat duck on the pinker side.
Right.
Like French people will kind of eat a bit pinker, but I think a good roast duck. I mean, man, it's crispy. Yeah. There's a reason the Peking duck became like one of the go-to dishes, associated with Chinese culture because those guys mastered it. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah, and I was lucky to actually eat Peking duck in Beijing. Like I think at one of the restaurants that claims to have kind of developed it, like invented it. Yeah, and it was really good.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. So this is a big year. So then also the Olympics in Beijing.
Oh yeah, I completely forgot about that.
Yeah, I know. Everybody's forgotten about it. Everybody's forgotten about the about the Olympics.
Yeah, I mean, geez, that was a tough. I think the Olympics. Didn't the Tokyo have an Olympics? Was it a Winter Olympic or was it summer?
Yeah, I think that was summer.
I can't remember. And that was like, guys, don't. It's fine. They were like, no, we have to do it. And we're like, no, it's fine. You don't have to do it.
Right, exactly. We could take some time off.
Yeah. Have you noticed that over the last 10 years, maybe like since Atlanta '96, and I might even go as far as I'll give you 2000 Sydney Olympics 2000, but after that, maybe I'll give you 2004 Athens. But after that, actually 2008 in China, they really wanted it. But after 2008, I feel like there's been this like, we don't want it. We don't want it. The cities have been rebelling. I mean,
I know.
have you felt that?
Yeah, they kind of like second guess it. Well, it always is. Every single time, it's the same story. They're not going to be ready. They're going to be bankrupt. It's going to be a big problem. We don't know if they're going to make it. And then they always pull it off, and the city ends up making a bunch of money.
Yeah, but I think the funniest thing was like, I think Boston was in the running with someone else. I can't remember for the next the next 2 Olympics or something, like two Olympics away. And Boston was like, we don't want it. And Los Angeles was like, we don't want it. And then obviously the committee's organizing. I'm just saying, I think American cities are like, we don't want the Olympics. I felt this thing. The last 10 years, I've definitely felt this American, like, we don't have it. Unless you're going to have it in, like, like Arizona or, like, somewhere that's a bit less, like, where it's not a nightmare to get around anyway,
I know. Like, the idea of throwing an Olympics on top of Los Angeles. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm down. I'm down for that. I'm down for not having Olympics in the city.
That's so funny. All right, so I'm going to grab some pineapple tarts.
Yes.
Roast duck.
Yes.
Maybe some longevity noodles.
Yes. And let me try what dessert. I need to get a good dessert too. Okay, well, try this. Try this. This is duck and pineapple tarts. Not that adventurous in a good way. You know what I mean? Like, these are nice, solid choices that everybody will like. So for dessert, I just recommend maybe try something a little different, something a little outside your palate. I think Western palates don't really like the chewiness of Asian desserts sometimes.
Right.
Yeah, there's this really strong divide. When things get chewy, it doesn't matter what it tastes like. If it's chewy, like Western people don't like. They go like they reject that dessert. So my olive branch out is like, just try this one thing. It's kind of chewy, but it's sweet and delicious. It's a little gingery in a nice way. It's gingery sweet. It's called in Chinese it's called tongyun, and it just means like it's like sweet gluttonous balls. So it's like a ball. It's a ball in a soup of like almost pure sugar, right? So Americans will love it. There's like ginger in it, and then in the ball you can choose the filling. So sometimes it's sesame, sometimes it's red bean, sometimes there's no filling at all, and just go get some glutinous rice balls. As dessert. Yeah, and it means long life as well. It's got a lot of good connotations. But really, just try it. Just be the first, American on your block to try. Like,
all right, I'll do it. Someone's got to do it.
Someone's got to.
Ronny, continue luck on the tour. Thank you for making some time and checking in. It's we've got to get together soon. I miss seeing you.
Please, thanks so much. Thanks for trying to try some good Chinese food.
All right, man. I'll see you soon.
See you, Tom.
Bye.
All right, everybody, that's the big show. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you go out there and get some good Chinese delicacies. I hope you get some good whiskey and enjoy your lives. We'll see you next week.